And it looks like we are connected. So it's all yours, Sean.
Great, thanks. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see everyone. So let's see. Looks like we have a pretty full agenda today, and as we have the last couple of times, thankfully we've worked through those pretty efficiently. So just to begin, we will start by housekeeping. The secretary.
Yes, so we I send out the minutes for September's Community Tree Council meeting and also for the committee meetings. So I'd like to ask if anyone has any corrections or additions or subtractions to those minutes. And if not, I would like to make a motion to approve September's minutes for the Tree Council and for the committee meetings.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All right. Fast, great. Okay, just to review the motions that were passed in September. The CTC successfully voted to become partners in ACC iTree study, and also voted to approve a $250 purchase for promotional materials, prints, pencil, stickers. I think that was officially prints of the tree that owns itself. So good to go there from our committee. Rodney, do you have anything to add for the iTree study?
I do, actually. It's pretty much moving forward. It is not technically official yet, but the Georgia Forestry Commission said that everything looks good for awarding the grant, and there's a bunch of paperwork that we need to complete to make it official. So that project officially will be starting here this week, as soon as we get the paperwork turned in.
Awesome. Congratulations. Okay, which takes us to Pam Knox.
All right. Well, I emailed the treasurer's report out yesterday. So you should have seen it. I think I did it yesterday. There aren't really very many changes from last time. We had a 25-cent increase in our money market account from interest, and we paid one check, which was for the GoDaddy account. Since that time, I've written another check to cover some of the promotion committee's stickers and tree prints. So that will probably come out of the next month's budget. And then you'll notice on the bottom, I talk about how we haven't got the PayPal thing working yet. Well, Jessie figured it out today, and she got our email linked up, and I checked it, and we have now confirmed that email with PayPal. So we should be all set to go for getting donations through PayPal through the website. So thanks for taking care of that, Jessie. So I think we're just about ready to go live with that, at least from my standpoint. I did not try donating through PayPal to the Tree Council yet, but I think we should be able to test that out relatively soon.
I'm going to resubmit the $100 that was returned to both test out the PayPal, as well as we had committed to spending $100 as a company. So I'm going to do that actually right now, so I can let you know.
Okay, that sounds great. It should. I mean, I checked the email and stuff's getting through, and I confirmed it on PayPal. So that was the holdup before. So I think we're pretty much ready to go. So give it a try, and hopefully it will go through this time. So that's all I got. Unless there's any questions. I know I did get one request for listings of past trees that we've purchased. I have not had a chance to do that yet. I'll go through my old receipts and see what I can find. Mary, was that your request?
Hey, yes, it was. So
Okay.
did I send you that list that Tori put together? And I think it was pretty much up until the work at the housing authority sites. So really, those were the last, at Rock Springs and Broad Acres were where we needed to fill in on that timeline. And then we'll be ready to put that up on the website too for people to see what we've done.
Some of the invoices are more detailed about what kinds of trees we got than others are. So I may or may not be able to complete that. I may only be able to give you numbers of trees, but I'll do what I can.
Okay, and I'm
And
happy
maybe
to
we
chat
may
with
have-
them. Go ahead. Sorry.
We may have like a list of what we had intended on purchasing from our proposals, but I know sometimes we deviated from that plan.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if that, and then maybe we could sort of rack our brains and try to remember what we did.
Okay. Okay, well, if you have that and you want to share it, and then we can loop in Pam, and I'm happy to share the list that we have so far with everybody so you can see how detailed that is, just because I don't know that we can go and do any more research to make it more detailed than it is, but
And this is just a document on the website, or is it?
it's not on the website, but we intend to put it on it's just a Google sheet with dates, and some of those going way back are more specific than others. Some it's like a season and a year, you know. And then some, as we get more recent, we have more specific information. So that's good. But it's just to give the public an idea that we are actually out there planting trees, and some of it comes from private donations, and a lot of it came from grants in the past. So, okay. Thanks, Pam.
Yep. It's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And that's all I've got.
That's exciting. Thanks, guys. So committee reports, and I'll start out by talking about the executive committee. And Joe and I are going to meet this week, talk about the transfer of leadership to his presidency. So I'm looking forward to that. Not that I haven't enjoyed this seat, but if you guys have any questions or any input on how you have any changes you'd like to enact or see, in the next term, please let us know. And yeah, so going on down the line, this is we'll start out with the CTC, the steering committee, and I'm going to do the first of the monthly shorts. It's educational short, and it's something I deal with every day, and that's trees in urban forest. And I'm going to switch over and share my screen. Hopefully this works. Does everybody see? Can everybody see what's being shared here? Great. Okay. Now I apologize. It's not a great presentation, or at least the visual, but hopefully the content will make up for it. So my goal is briefly describe the differences between trees in the urban forest and those that are found in nature, of course. And first of all, I'll start out by this overextended limb. Is everybody following along, by the way? Okay. So trees in the urban forest, unlike those in nature, have almost unlimited growth potential. And as you can see here, it's just open sky. Oftentimes, there's a house or some structure situated under this or around it. And for that reason, in order to make this limb more stable, we recommend is arborist reduction pruning. We're essentially trying to replicate what happens in nature and keep this tree much more compact, or in other words, like within the natural crown structure of the tree. When limbs become overextended, they can essentially outgrow their ability to stay intact. So, once again, we recommend reduction pruning out on the tips to reduce that lever arm, so to speak, and thereby reducing the stress at that attachment here, as opposed to removing the whole limb altogether is what's recommended. Scrolling to the next page. In scenarios where there's unlimited growth potential, oftentimes oversized limbs develop, and an oversized limb is considered as much or such if the limb itself is 50% or greater than the parent stem. So this is almost 100% really. At that point, it puts a great amount of stress at that stem here, but it also puts a good amount of stress on this branch in itself. And is prone to longitudinal cracks in here. So, early on, it would have been best to remove this limb entirely, but at this point, it would be a pretty large sized wound, and with the possibility of decay. So once again, as arborist, I would recommend at this point reduction pruning out on the branch tips in an attempt to maintain and make that limb more stable. So this is an image of what tree canopies look like in nature, and unlike the top image that I showed you, the limbs or the trees are much more compact but really tall, so they don't experience the limb failures and the oversized limbs and structural instability in the crown, at least. They don't experience that as much as those in the urban forest. So as you can see, there's kind of a patchwork among each other, and no trees, except those on the edge, probably are not, growing outside of their natural crown structure. So moving on to another stressor or disadvantage of the trees face in the urban forest is competition in the root zone, and this oftentimes occurs or comes in the form of grass. A lot of people love their lawns, and there are negative effects to that, and specifically competition, or in other words, like when you have a lawn, whatever is available for in terms of nutrients, typically the lawn gets it first. So in order to make a lush lawn, oftentimes it's irrigated and fertilized, and that fertilizer is topical or granular, and once again the lawn gets it first, and the tree gets the crumbs, so to speak. So for that reason, I recommend at minimum mulch. As you can see in this, conveniently enough, this is a critical root zone image right here, and we recommend a good layer of mulch, 4 to 6 inches in depth, 2 to 4 inches in depth rather, and as much space as you're willing to sacrifice in your lawn is best for the tree. The even better to increase that level of care, is a good idea to fertilize the tree. And that's we offer a liquid injected fertilizer to further basically replicate what happens in nature and provide a food source or a nutrient source for the tree. So another issue that trees face in the urban forest is limited root zones. We experience this downtown, of course, and all throughout town. But along with the very limited source of nutrients in terms of soil and decomposition of organic materials, there's a pretty small. There's not much purchase for the structural reefs to develop, and therefore the trees are in turn at a higher risk of failure consequently. You have almost fully exposed areas within the crown, and all of the trees roots are confined into this little right away right here, and once again very limited nutrient source. So what appears to be a pretty healthy tree very well may not. It's probably not indicated in the root health. So long term, these trees aren't really compatible to the space. So I dropped a slide there, but the last one was basically just a comparison on the what the forest floor looks like. Once again, it's a organic source, unlimited or constant cycle of decomposition, and whereas in the urban forest, oftentimes that's taken away by leaf blowing or leaf raking and mulched up in your mower. So brief presentation, but these are topics that I go through and face on a daily basis. Any questions? Okay. All right. So CTC interview work committee. We moving on to that. First item is we need to renew some our members, and that would be Joe, Jesse, and Tori. Hopefully, you guys are willing and able to sign re-up. But I can't remember when you guys came in. It seems like just yesterday, but hiring. So we'll be asking you to sign back up.
Yes, I think Joe started 2 years ago. Tori and Jesse started last year. So it's just where it fell in the terms. We had to fill in some, it's basically getting things back on the rotation. And that's why it wasn't the full 3-year terms on these.
Right. Okay. So we need to, and in regard to the hires, well, we need to hire two new members, and that'd be December at the latest. So if you guys know anybody, please let us know, and we'll reach out to them. I think maybe Mary or someone had someone in mind. I can't remember. Mary Songster. She's out today, of course. But let us know. We will need to be advertising for those. those positions soon. And so, yeah. Also, currently working on revision of the interview documents. I don't have any updates on that, but Edith, I think you offered a revision note.
Yes, it was with the checklist. It seemed number 1 and I think number 12 seemed a little redundant. And everything looked really good. I didn't see any need for revision other than just the logistical part, the dates, the times, meeting places.
Got it. Yeah, you mentioned that. Go ahead, Rodney.
I think there was a suggestion to change the interview questions as well. They were awkward during some of the interviews, so I think that was one of the things that was requested as far as document revisions.
Yeah, I think we talked about giving the folks more info ahead of time, so they could be a little more prepared. I don't know if any, yeah. So a little bit of work on that, and we also talked about the importance of maintaining a wide representation of background. I think we currently have that now, thankfully, and in the interview process, that's a consideration that we need to make. And the new hire, of course, is continuing to maintain that. So, yeah, that's that, which leads us into the Trees for Tomorrow group. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, Phil, but it sounds like you guys had a nice event.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Sam.
Okay. We had a good turnout for our field trip to the Firefly Trail a week ago this past Friday, I guess it was. Weather was nice. We met with a couple of folks who don't work for ACC, but work with ACC as the project management team for I think it's Jacob Engineering or something like that for the Firefly Trail management and construction and so forth. And they talked to us a little bit about the upcoming phase 2, and it begins about where the racetrack is on Oconee Street or Lexington Road, whichever you want to call it, and heads out toward Winterville. We were looking at the terminus of phase 1, which is right there at Old Winterville Road and Oconee Street, with the idea of beginning to see what we need in the way of numbers of trees, species, what the site looked like, and just how much room, how much available planting space we have there, and start a conversation about what our plans are for hoping to get trees in the ground this winter at the site. The discussion we had while we were on site there was, and I should mention also that Todd Miller of Leisure Services met with us as well, and Todd he keeps up with a lot of the right of way and the location and what's available as far as space on either side of the trail and so forth, and has been instrumental in hopefully providing us with some maps and site plans that we can use to superimpose then our planting locations or our desired plantings onto them. But we talked about taking that information that Todd provided us in the webs and maps, which I have shared with our working group online, and coming up with a plan. Idea perhaps being that since this is a very will be a very important access point to the Firefly, it also is where there's a connector to the Greenway Trail there as well, and there's parking behind the new racetrack. Looks like that would be a place where we would do well to spend a good deal of our remaining budget, which is probably close to $10,000, on plantings in that locale. If we look ahead to the phase 2, the project managers indicated that most of that going out toward Winterville is going to be dealt with in the form of easements and so forth. It deviates from the old railway property, which was pretty well already locked up as far as ownership, and so now they're going to have to deal with landowners as we and piecemeal it as we go down the trail. So our best chance, our widest opportunity, and our best chance for getting permission and approval for planting is going to be at this site that we're at right now. So our strategy is to first look at the site plans, determine what the planting capacity of the area there is, then to go to our partners, primarily landscape management, ACC landscape management, and ask them what they have in the way of resources and opportunities, how much they can help us this season, and from that devise a notion of how many trees we need to acquire to be put in the ground this year. That's where that stands right now. We as a working group will be getting back together hopefully soon. I need to get a couple of our landscape architects or planners, designers, to take Todd's maps and sort of come up with a stylized, simplistic site plan that we can impose our notion of spacing and so forth for the plantings. And when we do that, and we come up with numbers that we want to get in the ground, then we will definitely be coming to the council as a whole, because this will be something that all of you will need to vote on as far as how we move forward. And that's, I don't have any further information regarding other sites or other plantings beyond that. I did ask, and I haven't scanned ahead to look at the agenda to see, but I'm hopeful that today we will, as a group, talk a little bit about the grant, the UPS KACCB grant for Broad Acres, and how we're going to move ahead with that now, and now that it's approved. So that's all I have. If you have questions, I'll be happy to try to answer.
I'm kind of putting in some notes that I have taken, and I will put these in a table for you, Phil, some of the trees that we talked about along the walkway. We need to along the Firefly Trail itself. And then there's that large swath of land that we discussed doing maybe 3 larger trees and then a cluster of 3 smaller trees like serviceberry. We all seem to like that one, but we were unsure if that could be included, or Rodney, were you maybe going to check with somebody in landscaping to see if that was going to be our jurisdiction there?
Yes, I need to talk with Jeannie about the right-of-ways next to the roadways, and also about parks maintenance abilities for this winter. Jeannie has gone away to take care of some family business. So I haven't had a chance to talk with her yet, but I will talk with her when she returns.
Okay.
I think what you're referring to, Mary, maybe is that grassed area that was between the ending of the trail on the side of the paved walkway and that parking lot, that paved parking lot area where they were washing the cars when we were there.
Right.
Yeah. Todd seemed to indicate that there shouldn't be any issue with the grassed area, but there was some question about whether a portion of that paved area might actually be encompassed ultimately in the right of way as well. And so it would be good.
We don't know what's going to happen with that pavement.
Right.
I inquired with my boss about that. Works. They said until some of the GDOT stuff is squared away with the expansion at that point, they probably aren't going to know fully. So in case any of you are trying to think about this, the old Winterville Road used to cut in front of the little strip center there that's towards the in-town side of Old Winterville when it runs into Oconee Street. And that's now it's been changed since the intersection was realigned. So I'll try and stay on top of that one and let you guys know if I hear anything more.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
One additional thing, we talked about including schools in the tree planting locations, and I think we put it on ourselves. So if we're in the neighborhood of some of these schools, just kind of take a peek and look which ones would be good candidates. Off the top of my head, I can think of at least 2, probably 3 that would be willing and grateful recipients of some shade trees. So keep that in mind. Maybe you guys live in one of those neighborhoods of CCSD school. If so, I think. Okay, so moving on to the promotions committee. I accidentally put no input, but if you go to the last page, Mary did end up submitting some info. And take it away, Mary.
Okay. Well, Pam already covered that we got the PayPal link sorted out on the website. So that's been a big hurdle. Thank you, Pam and Jesse, for doing that. And then when we get the rest of our history timeline set up, that'll be a good portion to add to the website. And we'll take this thing live in the next, hopefully, week or 2. And we have, she's got a couple of video links. Jesse has a couple of video links she was going to embed into the site, which would be great. There's some great county videos from our plantings at Broadacres, and probably one from Rock Springs too. I have the ones from Broadacres. So I can share our timeline. Let's see if I can get my hands on it. Of course, I had it when it started, and then I started.
Mary, did you also want to show everybody the stickers and the prints that we got?
Yeah.
They're kind of...
Sure do. I have them right here. Okay, we'll do that. And then I'll see if I can put my hands on that table. But so we got some stickers made, and we figured when we get donations that when we write a thank you note or whatever, we can, let's see if you guys can see. I know it's going to be backwards, but I think they turned out really cool. They are, let's see. Here's a marker about that big. They're a good size for a water bottle or, car. They're very, they're weatherproof and everything. So that is great. We have only got 50 of them. Be easy to order more now that we have them. And these prints turned out really well. So this guy went to Georgia. Let's see if you can see this. And this is a print of the tree that owns itself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got these nice plastic sleeves. It's mounted on cardstock. He has his business card in the back. He lives in Atlanta now, but he's a UGA grad and did a bunch of UGA themed and very artistic. So we have some that are 6x8 and some that are 9x12. These are the smaller ones. So let's see, we got 5 of the larger ones and 10 of the smaller ones. So we have some decisions to make as to who these get gifted to at what donation level. And we figured, he is totally willing to sell us more. We paid, let's see here, we paid $12 for the larger ones and $10 for the smaller ones. So they should be for our largest donation. They're not cheap, but I think it's a nice gift. And then we have the stickers and the thank you notes, and we haven't ordered any pens or pencils or anything else yet, but I don't know that we need to. I don't know. What do y'all think? I have spent a total, let's see, we were okay to spend what, 250, and I spent 222. So pretty much got up to our allocated amount there for this go round. So we're pleased with that. Tori, do you have access to, are you still here? Yeah, hi. Do you have access to that Google sheet that you put together?
Yes, I can pull it up.
Yeah, I'm pulling up in your email. I've lost it. I had it. Here we go. Great. If you could share that, I think that would be pretty neat for people to see. And we can discuss too, as the promotions committee, how we want this to be formatted on the website. Are we going to have a link to a sheet, or, is there an easy way, Jesse, for you to put it into, just write it out on, some of it is more detailed than others.
I think I was going to pull out highlights from it to put on the page, and then on another page have a link to the full list, so that if people were interested, they could access that information.
Yeah, I think that's great. So you can see we're missing some information in terms of, and so if anybody, I'd like to make this shareable with the entire council, and especially with the people that have been involved for a long time. If we can piece together any more information on how these projects were funded, that would be great. But you can see that we just go up here to the Firefly Trail Grove. We've got Sandy Creek, the Coil Middle, Chase Street. We don't have our most recent projects on there. Thanks, Tori. Once the website goes live, we'll send out, a letter via email introducing the website to people that I know that would be interested, and I can share that letter with each of you just to kind of help get the word out, and you can tweak it how you want it. But just any way we can kind of blast people we know that would be interested in this council and our mission, let's get the word out. So I have been putting a few more posts up on social media, and we got some great pictures from our day on the Firefly Trail the other day. So that's good. I don't know. We don't get many likes, and I don't really know how to further promote that. But if you see that, and then if you are on social media and you share it, I think that would help kind of, get it out to more people. That's about all we have today.
Jesse and Mary and Tori,
Sorry.
so if we find like tree related content, a while back, I ran across some interesting segments or articles. Like, do you want those? Is it okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be like what we are doing, but just tree related is good.
Yeah, definitely. We've shared some of those that you sent to me, and those NPR stories and some various articles. The last one I did was sort of an update on. And there was an article recently on the tree that owns itself. That's been a while, and yeah, for sure. You probably see more of that than I do. Through work.
I think eventually too, once we get the website finished, we can put more focus into coming up with content for things like that. I know I could put more energy into ideas of, displaying champion trees and, finding articles to post. And that will definitely bring more people to like the page so that when we have events, they'll be aware of them. But right now, my focus is just trying to get this website done.
One thing that I follow, Columbus Trees, Columbus, Georgia, and they, the Columbus Tree Council, I think it is, but they have a big raffle going on right now where it's $100 a ticket with several giveaways, and the winner wins $10,000. So, yeah, they're giving away some serious money.
Active council. This is their most recent newsletter. And I think that they just have a lot more money to spend on things. They have a film festival and, things to aspire to, but I believe that they are a privately funded organization. They have sponsors and they do a great job, but they also have a lot of money to spend. So.
Awesome, thanks. Promotions team.
I do think the raffle is something worthy of discussion. If anybody has any, I don't know that we would give away $10,000, but I think that could be something that would be pretty neat further down the road once we get more and more organized.
Got it. Thank you. I'm not sure who wasn't here the last meeting, but Mary Songster graciously accepted the chair position of the policy committee, and unfortunately she wasn't able to attend today. But I'm wondering, Rodney, if you'd be willing to cover this portion of the agenda. The policy, or maybe we can tag team.
Yes, I can give it a shot. Let me open up my minutes. See what I can find for notes on that.
She offered an email. I was kind of confused about that.
Some things got lost in translation, but also in the transition between agenda setting and posting minutes and things like that. So there were some miscommunications involved with that. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read down the the list from the agenda of the meeting, and whoever was there can fill in the blanks. We'll just go that route. So basically, there was a conversation about the tree ordinance and what types of tree ordinance changes might be wanted. There was a conversation about receiving information and feedback from the Athens communities. It was expressed that Athens past evaluations from Athens in Motion and Envision Athens should be used. There was a question about how the education part of the CTC mission could be used to gather input from the community. There was a desire to assemble some sort of an information packet, and I believe Lee is doing some of that. I know I passed along a tree ordinance guide brochure to Lee. There was a conversation, excuse me, about the possibility. It was mentioned briefly, and it has since been explored a little bit more, but about the possibility of a tree bank and what that may or may not look like. There were some questions about, what the development of a strategic management plan for Athens-Clarke County through my position, the forester, might entail. There was an item to submit a budget, and in order to find, basically to submit a budget for the CTC. I'm not going to talk about this other item. That's not really up to me to and then outreach to different ACC departments, including planning, leisure services, facilities, and the schools to set up communication for the development of a strategic plan. And then what else? The library is also being consulted with to set up a relationship for archiving community tree council records and information. Does anybody have any thoughts or memories of the meeting that you'd like to add? Okay, so essentially the policy committee is in transition with Mary stepping in as the chair. And so Mary's great. She's really well organized and thoughtful and has a lot of experience and a wide perspective. So things will be moving forward from there.
Great. Thanks for covering that, Rodney. And which brings us to the, there was an action item on there. I'm sorry I had to step away for a second. But did you cover that, Rodney? There's an action item, and I'm not sure if we should table this until Mary gets back to talk about it. But there's an action item of beginning discussion of archiving CTC information in the ACC Library Heritage Room with Ashley Small. That would probably be best for her to cover when she gets back. Obviously, she has a relationship with her, so and also to what what info we would plug in there. So, which brings us to the education committee. I didn't see any input there on nothing was submitted for the agenda, but I know. Well, you guys we have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just fill you in real quick. Sorry, I was away last month and the education committee did not meet. But just in regards to a few things that have been mentioned here today, in terms of the website, Edith has been working on some online materials that we can put up on the website before too long. I mean, we're probably a few months away from having anything concrete on the in regards to those materials, but we've been gathering information, getting some help from Seth Hawkins, which has been good. So when that comes around, just keep that in mind, Jesse, as a section we can have on the website. And we've also been looking at some school materials and just some other materials we can take out to the community. So that's definitely no earlier than next year, probably no earlier than when we can actually all get back together and have some of that stuff in person. We are trying not to duplicate too many online efforts that are already going on. I'm sure you guys get plenty of messages about webinars and everything like that, training sessions. The only other thing that has happened since the last meeting, I took a visit out to Select Trees and got the full tour out there. It was quite eye-opening. They have a really neat operation if you guys haven't been out there. They do an ISA credential tour of their facility and talk to you about their practices, which are all the way from the very beginning till, transportation of the tree out. I didn't really realize how segmented the nursery industry can be, but I guess like most other industries, there's specializations for propagating and raising and then getting things larger, just like you'd think with the food operations. So it was really neat. Got a great tour with Corey out there, and they've been in town for, I believe, since the 80s. It was founded by two gentlemen who had a design build company back in the day, and decided if they were going to be designing and building things, they wanted good quality stuff to put in there. And then from that, it just bloomed into a full-on nursery, which was pretty cool. So if anyone would like to go out there, I can definitely put you in touch. I still plan on going to Southeastern Growers and maybe to Jack's Trees as well. So I'm just trying to get a feel when I talk to some of our customers, our designers, our subcontractors, and hear different things about trees, that I've got a little bit more information about what's going on in the nursery industry. So that little bit of education was mostly just education for me, but I'd love to spread that around if you guys are interested in any of that. So that's, I think, all I have for now. And sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth. I needed to get one or two things done here in the kitchen, but I'm listening the whole time, so I'll be here.
Thanks, Mark. Which brings us to the new business, and it seems like, did we establish whether or not we were going to put fundraising under promotions, or did we just recognize that they go hand in hand? Did we formally vote on that or anything, or was that just discussion?
The latest conversation was a question as to whether fundraising should be its own work group. And I think that's where the conversation ended.
Got it. Okay. So yes, the question of whether to establish an ad hoc grant group where each member will be assigned to potential donors and review old files. Tori, thanks for sharing the spreadsheet there. Is it right that you are also reviewing old donors as well, or is that someone else on the team?
So Rodney had given me a jump drive with all the information that he had, so I took that information and put it on a spreadsheet. So that's all the information I have right now, but if anyone has older information or access to older information, I'm happy to put it on the spreadsheet.
Great, thanks. Also, and I think this was maybe a conversation between Bill and Mary, but it was a year-end meeting to determine goals and establish a budget for upcoming projects, determine how much money we need to raise, which is, I think, a great idea. And that would be both individual project goals and a yearly budget. I think part of that was also to establish a timeline on some of these, a little more of a clear timeline on the, when we can expect the funds to be dispersed, or at least whether or not we've been awarded the grant and such. I think that was maybe a comment on your part, Bill. Yeah, anybody have any input on those speakers?
One thing, so you've been talking about what to do with fundraising, whether to put that into promotions, and I just wonder, maybe it seems like the promotions committee is rather busy doing things like website construction, and maybe that's going to lessen over time. It'll be more like upkeep instead of just like working on the design. But maybe that committee could give feedback on how, it seems like it's giving that committee a little too much work. But at the same time, creating yet another committee is going to be pulling people that are already on committees. So they'll be doing multiple committees. So I don't know if there's an easy solution to that, but maybe promotions committee people could speak to how they perceive the workload.
There was a day that we talked about having another work group on this subject, and I like the idea of having someone from each of the committees make up that work group, just to sort of, have the input from each of the other committees to kind of have their spin on what they might think is important, or certain ways to raise money. That was earlier in the summer, maybe late spring, that idea was floated. The issue with work groups, I think we all know, is that, we can't really vote on anything, but we can spend time discussing things and then bring it to the council for a vote in a more condensed form, right? So, and just kind of relay that. So I like that idea. At first, I didn't really understand the benefit of work groups, but I think that it's more clear to me now what the benefit would be. But yeah, I think we all agreed that fundraising would be something that we all need to keep in mind, right?
And I guess fundraising really has two components. It's reaching out to donors, but it's also applying for grants.
Right.
And we don't have a group that's dedicated to that either. So, I guess that's something else to think about is.
I think it could be in the same work group, and then individual people sort of take that on. I did start looking for grants back, I found something through Delta and came upon that State Farm grant that Mark's been working on. But yeah, we need more eyes on that. And I really just spent probably an hour or two one afternoon doing that one time. So, but yeah, and then I do have a rough draft of a letter to send out to private donors. And Mary Songster reviewed it for me, which was great. And it was too long, which is typical of me. And so we're kind of paring that down. But I also wrote that original letter before we had a website. So now that we have the website, we can really just refer anybody to the website for the specific details I had in that letter. So I've certainly been thinking about it a lot and doing bits and pieces and fits and spurts, but yes, it would be nice to have an actual work group. Yes, Rodney.
I just have a question. work groups are somewhat limited in the amount of people they can have because you can't have a quorum of the tree council there. And I was wondering if it would maybe be more streamlined or simple or efficient if, fundraising existed in one place and then there was a work group of grants, grant applicants, people who would be able to be more specialized and more coordinated and organized, just focusing on that one thing. Just kind of wondering out loud.
Yeah, I think that's definitely more of an ongoing, it's going to require more work. Once we have kind of a baseline outline letter for people to send and just kind of keep pushing the website, the individual fundraising or corporate fundraising is going to become a little less, I don't know, but that sounds like a good idea. Are you suggesting that we have another committee for fundraising when you say that the fundraising should come somewhere else?
Well, I'm just kind of wondering about the distinction. Not a committee. I don't think forming a committee is necessarily efficient or effective. Maybe a work group, but it seems like fundraising and promotions go hand in hand. And if you're wildly successful with that and you're very busy just processing donations, maybe also trying to work and do grants would be just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think a work group for grant writing is a good idea, and I'd be happy to make a motion, and I'd also be happy to be on it, but I have only 2 months left on the council. So that's not going to be a long-term solution, but at least I'm happy to launch that if everybody wants to. And speaking of which, Stacy, are you on?
I am. I am. I'm like the bearer of bad news today. I'm sort of holding back. So we did not get the UPS grant. And it has really nothing. I think our proposal was great. It's just for those that are new on the council, we have received this grant several years in a row. So we have been waiting for them to tell us no, other people need the money. And so I'm not really surprised. They did say that they did hear about funding for next year and that it will be available. So to go ahead and plan on applying for next year. So, but unfortunately for this year, it was bound to happen one of these years, right, Nina? So
yeah, we've been so successful with that. I don't know. I'm glad others are getting the money for a change. We shouldn't be hogging it, but
we do. There may still. I have a call in to Keep Georgia Beautiful because sometimes they submit a grant to then fund affiliates around the state. They did that a few years back, if you remember that, Nina. And they received that grant, and then they didn't have enough affiliates apply for that grant. So then they came to Athens. They came to us, and they said, "You guys have been doing this. Would you like to apply for another one?" And we took that opportunity. And so that could happen again. So I'll find out. Sorry, guys.
Stacy, thank you for all your efforts and
thanks,
working this with us. It has been very successful, and I'm sure we'll have another round.
Oh, thanks, Phil. Yeah, we will. We will. We just have to, let them share the love around the country, really. So we can't hog all the money. But next year, we'll try again next year.
And while we're talking about grants, that State Farm Community Grant has a due date that's the end of this month. And so I was just starting to look at the materials and get something together. But Mark, are you putting together one?
No, I've been looking at it monthly before our meetings. And did you see brand new dates? I saw this time period last year, but I did not see anything new. And I emailed them and they did not respond.
They have it updated and they have their application platform. So they don't provide any details as to what they want in the application until you create an account and log in and then go through the pages. So I've done that and I have all the material, and it's really similar to the KAB UPS grant. And so I was, unless Stacy was going to share some specifics for what we got, dinged on for the KAB grant, I was just going to recycle what we had done. But I think we should, somebody needs to make a motion. I'm happy to make a motion about whether we want to apply for the State Farm grant, and then it's going to have to be submitted before our next meeting.
Just before we do any of that, I'd be happy to help you out, Nina, if we need to add anything to it. I know there's some slight differences there, being State Farm versus a tree organization. So if it needs some other eyes, or if it needs anything added, I'd be happy to contribute to it.
Yeah, and
I would welcome anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
So there's some weird feedbacks. I can't tell if it's me or someone else talking, so I'll be.
Oh, sorry, Nina. I just wanted to tell you that I'd be happy to help with that as well.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we apply, the CTC applies for a State Farm community grant, and I'm going to suggest, I don't know how specific this motion needs to be, but the minimum requested amount is $5,000, and that's what I was going to do. Just trying to keep it like within the same ballpark of what we've done with KAB, and we know that we can do that. But I'm happy we can make an amendment to that motion if anyone has strong thoughts about asking for more money.
I'd like to second that so that we can have some discussion. Are we ready to do that?
Yes, that sounds good.
So
do they go up to 25? Is that what is needed? Or did it have an upper limit on it? For some reason 25,000 sticks out in my mind, but
I have to look at it more carefully, but I thought it was just at least 5,000. And unlike the KAB UPS tree grant, this is a community enhancement grant. So we're going to need to start with a little bit broader of a pitch for, if we want to keep doing AHA neighborhoods, which I think makes the most sense right now because we have the momentum and we have previous versions of the grant written already. But we are going to need some demographic data from AHA, and I'm also going to need some help from PAM. Like, they require everything, including like bank accounts and routing numbers, like in your application, so they can just like zap you the money when you get it.
We can do that.
There's a little bit more legwork than the KAB UPS, but I think it's doable, and I think I could put together a draft of what we need pretty soon and send it out to those of you who are interested in helping.
May I ask what is I get the deadline for submitting is coming up pretty soon, but for the completion of the body of work, what is that? Do you know?
Yeah, so the website says that they accept applications between October 1st and October 31st. So we're coming down on the last 2 weeks of that window. And that decisions will be communicated from October 1st until March 31st. So I don't know what that means for us, because March 31st is really too late to do a tree planting for this winter.
Right. It would seem to mean that our activity, if we were to obtain the grant, unless they have a cutoff date sooner, would be not this planting season, but next planting season.
Can we put something in the publication or in the draft of it that says the typical planting season is this month to that month? And if we can't get trees in the ground or if we can't get the funding by, say, February 1st, and we'll have to wait till next year. Maybe if we put that explicitly in there, they might respond a little quicker.
Yeah, and it could be it could be sort of like they have annual accounts that may determine how much money they have to donate. And so that could be part of the reason why they have such a big buffer window for giving out the money. But Pam, that's a really good point. So we could explicitly say that if we were to receive funds by this date, we would plan for a tree planting event in 2021. And if we don't, then it would probably be 2022. And maybe, yeah, I think that would be a fair way of doing it, since we do need to avoid planting in the spring and summer.
So I have a motion on the table for the CTC to apply for a State Farm Community Enhancement Grant by October 31st.
All in favor? Doesn't look like anybody's opposed. The motion to apply for the State Farm Grant by the 31st has been approved. Thanks, Nina. And also, that was a good discussion. That's a great point about the fundraising, Nina. Yeah, I think promotions definitely has plenty to do, and upkeeping, receiving funds and promotional materials and stuff. So, great clarification. I think, and lastly, Rodney, I see you raising your hand, but there was mention of requesting a budget from the mayor and commission. And Rodney, can you describe what that looks like? And go ahead.
I don't really know exactly what it looks like. I know Mark does for sure, because Mark has had experience with these. There is a deadline. Do you know when the deadline, Mark, is to apply for a council budget to the mayor and commission?
First, it's early January, right around the turn of the year, and then they get you a time slot, and then you've got a presentation, I want to say in February. Then they talk around about it. Sometimes they send you one back to say, hey, you wanted $20,000, we'll give you $542. And then they take that forward and then vote on it. But the first thing we need to do is get in touch with maybe Cynthia in the manager's office, maybe some of the finance people. I can figure out who I talk to regularly. It's the finance people. Claire Sayer, I'm trying to think of her last name, has helped me out in the past. I can figure all that out tomorrow if you want.
And this item has come up in the policy committee. So I know Mary has been asking about it as well. So there's an opportunity to coordinate around that. And just to circle back around to what Nina was saying about a grants work group, is that something the Tree Council wants to consider, or is Nina at this point a work group of one?
I'm happy to serve on it as well.
Great, thanks, Mark and Mary.
Nina, I'm emailing you a grant that I came across recently right now, just for your review.
Okay. I guess one thing also about this is that if we get the State Farm grant, somebody needs to be the point person, or I mean, I guess the committee as a whole would need to take it on, but I won't be on the committee starting in January. So I just want, and I mean, of course, I'm not like falling off the earth, so I will email everybody if I get a notification on it and keep it, and I'd like to stay up to date with what's going on. But I guess I just want everyone to be thinking about who would be, sort of overseeing that and taking that on, or what committee would, or what work group would.
Okay. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda. Does anybody have anything else to add?
I don't think we quite resolved the work group thing. So do we need a motion? Do we need to vote on that, Rodney?
I guess that's really up to the CTC on what direction it wants to take, regarding that. I would think so, but it's really up to the council to decide that.
And what are we talking about? A division between fundraising and grant writing? Or are we talking about committee status versus working group status for the two combined? I'm confused now.
I think, if I understand correctly, promotions is handling basic fundraising kind of stuff. But then there is a discussion about forming a work group to focus on grants.
I understand it that way as well.
And I feel like in the past we have made motions to create work groups. So I make a motion that we create a grant writing work group.
I second it.
All those in favor? All right.
And then the composition of that work group is going to be me, Mary, and Mark.
That's my understanding. And who will pick up or take up her responsibilities when she's gone? Has that been established or remains to be seen?
Well, that's one reason to have the work group. So then it's going to remain in the wheelhouse of the work group. And of course, the work group can expand. And you can create a state farm community development grant work group if we get funded. But I think this works for now.
Correct.
I presume there will be a standing invitation for additional members.
Absolutely.
I imagine so.
Maybe even an active recruitment.
I think there's definitely room for. I think everybody's on a committee at this point, but please insert yourself in a work group if you're not already. That would be great.
We could also look forward to some. I know Myung was big on that, and I think that the one younger guy was interested in that who had to step away. I forget his name, unfortunately. But as we look for new members, something just to consider.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, early on, Mary Songster expressed interest in involvement in that, or has had experience in that. I know she's quickly becoming a force, an important player on the team. So I'm not sure what her availability is, but we can reach out to her on that. So, okay. Well, I think that concludes the meeting unless anybody else has anything. Well, if not, I'll make a motion to conclude the October meeting.
I will second that.
All in favor? All right. Thanks, everybody. It's great to see everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.